Roll. Hi, good afternoon. I'm Councilmember Jose Weezer. We've been joined by Councilmember Greg Smith. This is the Public Works Committee. I'd like to propose that we place item 1, 2, 3, 4, actually 1, 2, and 3 on consent, and continue 4 and 5. 1, 2, 3 consent, and continue 4 and 5.
Yeah, you're doing fine.
Second on that?
Second.
Thank you. And we'll go to item number 6.
Item number 6, Board of Public Works Report, an initial study, negative declaration relative to Burbank Boulevard widening from Lancashire Boulevard to Cleon Avenue.
Okay, thank you. Is there someone here to present this item, please? You give a brief report. We have a public speaker after you.
Good afternoon. My name is Ramnik Mangra. I'm with the Bureau of Engineering Street Program. Burbank Boulevard widening is a major highway, and we are widening. It's a 2001 call, and we are widening based on the MTA MOU scope requirement. And basically, it's a single lane on each direction right now, and one parking lane in each direction. We're going to be widening to provide 2 traffic lanes in each direction, left-turn lane, and 1 parking lane in each direction, and 10-foot wide sidewalks. So basically, it's a major highway standard. That's what we are widening for. Do you have any questions?
Okay, great. Thank you. And have all the concerns, including parking concerns of the affected property owners, been addressed?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Well, the one person who is opposed to this says he's going to lose parking place. How many parking places are they going to lose, and how many do they have on property?
Do you know? I believe it was like 30.
5 to 7.
I think 7 was
Seven.
the whole project was 7, wasn't it, or was it just for that one property?
It's three places where we, because of the impact on the business, we would not be widening, so we would not be able to provide a public parking in front of those businesses.
Let's hear from the speaker.
Okay. A public speaker is Jeff Jacoberger.
Good afternoon. My name's Jeff Jacoberger. I'm speaking on this issue because the draft bike plan, which has been circulating for months, designates this portion of Burbank Boulevard as a proposed bike route. Yet you're spending a huge amount of money on a major road widening project, and nothing in the report talks about making the street bike friendly. As I read the report, this construction project isn't going to begin until 2012. I mean, there's time to make this a bike-friendly project and incorporate the needs of bicyclists in this project. This isn't, I mean, I'm speaking about this particular street widening, but I imagine you see street widening projects, you see dedications and vacations. Councilman Weezer, you're on the Land Use Committee, you see land use projects, and the city never takes the needs of bicyclists into account at all. The existing bike plan and the draft plan just sit on the shelf, and nobody ever looks at them to see whether streets are existing, designated as bike routes, the streets the city's supposed to be looking at. And, you know, I'm a little ticked off about it because a week and a half ago I was riding my bike down Fairfax and a cab turned left directly in front of me and sent me to the emergency room on a street that since 1996 the city has promised it's going to look at as a bike route. And it's really unacceptable that the city really doesn't care at all about the needs of bicyclists. You may say the right thing, but in your actions, you do nothing. Thank you.
Thank you. Is this a designated bike route?
Not per the general plan. It's a designated as second major highway.
It's designated major highways, and there, it's not designated for a future bike route.
Not that I'm aware of.
Is there opportunities to make it a bike route?
Not based on the funding criteria that we received grant from my MTA. Basically, we're supposed to widen for a transportation corridor so that it can handle the additional traffic.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Any,
Is there room for a bike lane? Is there room?
There is
for-
no room for bike lanes unless you eliminate the street parking.
Okay. At either end of this project, is there a bike lane?
No,
So it wouldn't continue anything that's,
no.
all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
thank you. So we will, motion to approve this item. Thank you. No objections, so ordered. Next item?
Item number 7, Bureau of Public Works report relative to the status of the Public Works Trust Fund at June 30th, 2009.
Hey, do you have someone here to present on this item? Yes, please.
Good afternoon. It's wonderful to be here. So I'm Suzanne Scheidecker-Cook with the Board of Public Works. This is Jean Sue and Nympha Malabuyak from our Office of Accounting. And as requested, we're doing our annual report on the Public Works Trust Fund. As you know, during the mayor's proposed budget of 0708, the chair of Budget and Finance requested that we do an annual reporting of the Public Works Trust Fund. So this is our third annual report. And also, probably as you know, the Public Works Trust Fund, the purpose of it is it serves as a fund for individual deposits from various sources to be used for specific public works-related purposes. So our deposits are received and tracked individually. And also, too, it should be noted that our Office of Accounting is responsible for the day-to-day accounting of this fund, and except for, as noted, for account 4323 and one deposit in account 4873, interest earned on our Public Works Trust Fund is deposited to the general fund minus the outstanding loans. So we're on the second page of the report that we submitted to you. And so this is a summary of the deposits and then the activity. So at the end of the year, which was June 30th of 2009, the Public Works Trust Funds had deposits totaling $71,700,653.90. I know you're worried about the 90 cents. In 18 accounts.
Never used to, but this year, yes.
Yeah, now those cents really matter. So out of this amount, $36,255,878.37 was loaned out, which leaves us a cash balance of $35,444,775.53. So out of this cash balance, $3,070,048.89 was appropriated for expenditures from the Public Works Trust Fund. And again, this is work related to specific public works projects. And $15 million was reserved for our working capital. And so the working capital is for expenditures related to the projects that are going on, refunds that are required to be given to, say, developers that are owed a refund, and also the transfer again to the general fund. So the remaining balance is $17,374,726.64, represents cash to further back of $71,700,653.90 in deposits and for additional loans that may be approved by council and mayor. So as you know, traditionally the Public Works Trust Fund has been used as a source of front funding and also for loans. But, for example, traditionally the Comptroller's Office requests from the Public Works Trust Fund a very short-term loan to make the fall payroll for the city, and then with the first installment of property taxes pays the Public Works Trust Fund back. So out of that amount, there is we have loan reservations that exceed the available funds by $11,566,712.94. So Exhibits 1 through 4 show that. But when we realized that we had unapproved, that the loan reservations exceeded what we had in the Public Works Trust Fund as of June 30th, what we did is proactively, we talked with the Controller's Office and worked with them. So instead of giving $20 million like we do each year, it's now $15 million. We also worked with our bureaus of engineering and sanitation, and so we're timing their the loans that they're using or front funding of projects. So we're timing it, and we're also doing more projects with less, and we're staggering what the amounts are needed. But the most important recommendation that we would like, that is not included in the board report, is that we would like to recommend a formal mechanism be recommended by the council. So, because we're at a critical juncture here, this is the first time that the Public Works Trust Fund, that we have loan reservations that exceed what we have, and we need, again, a working capital to make our refunds, do the expenditures, and transfer to the general fund. So what we'd like to recommend is that the council have a mechanism where the Office of Accounting, folks that want to either front fund or do loans from the Public Works Trust Fund, have to work with the Office of Accounting as far as verifying the cash availability. The decision-making would still reside with council and mayor, but we would like, again, since we're in dangerous territory, to have the mechanism to have the cash availability verified. So, do you have any questions?
Yeah, so you're requesting that there be a process set up so that the accounting office would be notified of the loan reservations and what is available?
Right. We just want to make sure that the Public Works Accounting is actually had a chance to review the cash availability before the loan is actually approved, because it might end up that we have shortage of cash, and it would be like
you could raise a flag before we go through this again. Yeah.
But the decision is still with the council. We're just checking the funding availability.
What would be necessary to effectuate a process like that? CLA or CO?
Well, I'm just surprised that the Board of Public Works isn't watching the council agendas when these loans are on the agenda.
Well, we do, and usually, again, it's a very informal process, and it's been developed for years. So usually those in the CAO's office and the CLA, they know about the Public Works Trust Fund, and they know they have to check with the Office of Accounting. But in the last couple of years, there's been new staff in and out of different departments, and we've had a couple of close calls where we didn't find out until it was going to committee that, there was a loan being considered or front funding, and then we would go down. But that was when we had money that we wouldn't be in trouble with. But now we're at a point where if something like that happens, we would.
We have a system that we just started about a year ago, that there's a financial review that's done by the CLA. It's a little box now on motions as to whether there's a fiscal impact or not. Maybe we should say, language in there should say that anything that, any motion that takes money from the Public Works Trust Fund has to be approved by the Director of the Board of Public Works prior to it coming to council or something that does availability.
And that would be very helpful.
That would be wonderful.
So can we motion here and effectuate that and direct that? Or is that, or would we have to do a council motion to change any regulations?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, Jack Reef with the CLA's office. I'd have to get back to you on that.
I think we just need to bring a motion in council and to create a policy that says any trust fund loans have to go to our Board of Public Works for
Yeah. The CLA's office work on that motion, have it presented by Mr. Smith and myself to council. And we'll present that to council and make that change.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, one other question, and I'm looking at, you've got a lot of documents in here about the loans that are out. Some have dates on them, some don't, when it'll be repaid. Do you have a spreadsheet that shows when money is due in to you, so you
Yes,
know
we
where
do.
the flow is? Okay. And
We track it very carefully, so we have who's outstanding, who's not. In fact, Craig Bloomquist, who just retired, that was his last act of business, is to send letters out to everybody, letting them know
Got
where they
notices.
stood.
Delinquent notices.
We'll get the city controller's collection agents on our city. Tell them to go get the money. All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank you.
Note and file this report. Next item.
Item number 8, motion Perry Parks relative to naming the northeast corner of 42nd Place and Central Avenue as the Ezekiel Mobley Jr. Square.
Staff here to present this item? Or the proponent to present this item?
Good afternoon, council members. Greg Fisher, Office of Councilwoman Jan Perry. Councilwoman is in receipt of a letter requesting a street name change to reflect and recognize the accomplishments of Ezekiel C. Mobley, Jr. After reviewing the request, the councilwoman is reluctant, of course, to rename the street. It's a very confusing process for everybody, but has offered to name a square in his honor, and that is why I'm here, basically reflecting the councilwoman's wishes.
Was this just a letter, or is there community support?
There was actually a letter from the Reverend Cecil Murray at AME Church, which was forwarded to the councilwoman on top of that, and then another letter of support from, I believe, Congressman Esteban Torres. So there's several letters.
Great, thank you. Any questions, comments?
Just a point, if you just name the northeast corner, it's not really a square, is it?
Well, that's where the sign will go. Be a very small square.
I've been hanging around these engineers, and they
Too long.
No, but as funny as that may be, it does raise a good point for our books. I mean, do we actually name the northeast corner, or do we say it's the intersection of such and such street?
We generally name the intersection.
The intersection, right?
Yes,
So we
sir.
should probably change the official documents that we're approving to reflect that. If that's
fine.
okay, that's fine. I mean, that makes more sense. I think he's worthy of all four
Thank you.
corners.
we're generous today.
So, motion to approve, no objections, so ordered. Next item.
Item number 9, motion Rosendahl, Weezer, Parks relative to the performance audit of the construction of the Los Angeles Police Department headquarters facility and related matters.
Staff here to present this item.
Good afternoon, Julie Sauter with the Bureau of Engineering. The controller released their audit report in April of last year of 2008. The Bureau of Engineering responded to the report in May of 2008. The controller's evaluation occurred in July of 2008. It was presented before the Efficiencies and Audit Committee in February of this year and approved by Council in February 17th of this year. Within the controller's report, there were 32 recommendations for the Bureau of Engineering. I'm happy to say that all of the recommendations were implemented throughout the Bureau. There was one item that was an ongoing periodic review, which has been completed since the initial audit report.
Thank you. What was the final cost of the project?
We're still wrapping things up. We did get CFO in October, and we're wrapping up the contract right now. Currently, for the construction contract itself, we are at 6% change order, so that takes us to approximately $245 million for the construction contract. For the overall program, we do have two more components, two more construction projects, which is a parking structure, Main Street that services the PAB, as well as a public parking structure, which has just broken ground. And that will take us through October of next year. And so, we still have another year to finish out the entire program.
245, and what was budgeted
That, for the two,
for, up until this point? Up
well,
to what
the overall program, the budget was $437 million.
Okay, but for what we completed now and with the 245 that we paid for, how much was budgeted?
It was 231 was the contract award, and we had a 10% contingency on top of that. So that was what was budgeted for the construction contract. So we're at 6%. So we used up 6% of the budgeted contingency for the contract.
And the 6% change orders, is that average of most projects like this, or?
I think it's very good for a project of this size.
Okay. I think this motion was introduced at a time when there were some newspaper articles on the construction, and some of these items have been heard in other committees, so I'm fine to approve this and have it go to council. Is that the next step, or do we note and file this?
Yeah, note and file.
Note and file? Okay.
You still have the oversight committee working as well, right? So they'll do a final report, I presume. The oversight committee will do a final report when the project is fully complete?
For the project advisory committee
Yeah.
that was implemented, I believe we had our last,
Yeah, their last?
our last
So the only
meeting.
thing left then is tabulating the final dollar amount.
Right, we'll wrap up the
1.5.
actual PAB construction, correct, and then we'll close out the contract, and that will be going before the Board of Public Works to close out that component.
What about who's in charge of the component as far as outfitting and ITGS, all that, insides other than the building?
The inside as far as the communications?
Well, the furniture, the telephones,
That was
TVs,
part of the
everything.
overall program.
So that's part of the 245?
245, that was the construction contract.
Yeah.
We did have some budget aside for ITA,
Uh-huh. But
which
that doesn't include furniture, moving, all that other stuff?
That was also included in the overall program. So we had a separate contract line item for the systems furniture that we managed outside of the,
And when will that be finalized? When will we get the final tab and all that?
That's, we're pretty much done, because the building has, all the systems furniture is all the way in. I mean, they're all the way in, and LAPD is, 50% moved in. So we might have some little ancillary things for fix-its once people fully occupy the building.
Cops do break things, so they don't...
A little bit. So by the end of the year, when LAPD is fully moved in, we'll get the final tally as far as the systems furniture budget line item for the program.
And this is a separate question, but there's some demolition occurring on San Pedro and First. First of all, I have a short memory. What was there, and secondly, what's being planned there?
Excuse me, as part of the overall program, as part of the EIR, we worked with the community in building a public parking. So it's 300 spaces below ground and a public plaza above ground, so that's part of the program, and that's what's going on right now.
Okay, so, and the plaza, the city's going to operate that plaza?
Yes. Well, the plaza will city, but the actual parking structure will be operated by DOT.
DOT. The plaza include retail or?
We did
commercial, or-
provide infrastructure for future retail opportunities, so at some time, if somebody wanted to put in a little kiosk, the infrastructure is there for water and sewer and electrical service.
And this was through a public process? what was
Yes, as
decided?
part of the
These
EIR.
lines were approved by the,
Correct.
interesting. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, the actual committee note and file the motion.
Note and file the motion, yes, please.
Very good.
Next item?
Item number 10, motion on Labange relative to amending the Los Angeles Municipal Code Section 91.103.3 to allow the Bureau of Street Services to more effectively address the problem of the illegally posted advertising signs, i.e. handbills. Additionally, after the agenda was released, a subsequent report was received from the Bureau of Street Services.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, Gary Harris, Bureau of Street Services. The original motion directed the city attorney to amend the Los Angeles Municipal Code to grant the authority to the Bureau of Street Services to require violators to comply with lawful orders. This was done back in December 17th of 2008. Ordinance 180459 was passed, and that did amend LAMC 6107 to grant that authority to street services. However, there is one additional component that the Department of Building and Safety also has that would be essential to effectively using this improved authority, and that's Section 91.103.4, which also makes it illegal to provide false information to the Department of Building and Safety. We think it would improve the effectiveness of sign enforcement as well as other violations under the Street Services Authority by adding similar language to Section 6107 of the Municipal Code, and it is our recommendation that the report that you're reviewing at this time be adopted to ask the city attorney to also amend the section to add the additional authority that is currently granted to the Department of Building and Safety.
Okay, any questions, comments?
How much is left of the program?
Actually, the program was deleted from last year's budget. However, we have absorbed the activities of the program into the regular duties of the district operations, so we are continuing to do sign enforcement at a reduced rate.
Just as needed, as available?
Yes.
This helps, that's good.
Yeah, we'll move to adopt the report, VSS report.
The amendments they offered.
No objections, so ordered. Thank you very much. Unless you want to speak, Mr. City Attorney? No?
No, I'm here for both items number 10 and 11. Keith Pritzker, Deputy City Attorney. In case there are questions from the members of the committee.
Okay, so good. We've adopted number 10. Next item.
Item number 11, motion, Cardenas, Perry, Reyes, West, and Parks relative to regulating the placement of dumpsters, trash containers, and roll-off bins in the public right-of-way to include amending Los Angeles Municipal Code Section 62.45 and other relevant sections and related matters.
Would CD 6 want to speak before or after the presentation?
I guess I'll go first. My name is Eduardo Soriano Hewitt. I'm here on behalf of Councilmember Cardenas, and we're asking for your support of the following motion. Since arriving in council, Councilmember Cardenas has been active in the removal of roughly 5,000 tons of trash within the northeast San Fernando Valley. As a part of a partnership between our district and legislative office, we have pulled requests from constituents using our contact management who are filing complaints regarding the recurring and illegal placing of storage bins in particular communities in our district, Sun Valley, Pacoima, and Van Nuys. The following motion is asking for the Public Works to work with the City Attorney to report back with a viable solution to either, one, regulate the storage and placement of bins, two, explore other business models or pilot programs that are taking place in other parts of the country, and three, to also explore the feasibility of amending the current ordinance so that we can come up with a viable solution for enforcing the storage of bins.
Thank you. And to the City Attorney, there was a similar request in 2007 where a report was done, but I believe we didn't adopt the ordinance. What we're doing here today is simply moving forward with that same report, or are we going to adopt a different ordinance?
You know, I vaguely recall seeing something that was related to a different council file number that had to do with illegal bins in the public way, but I wasn't able to find that council file number. I think Mr. Harris can address it.
How about
We are working on revising the 2007 report, and it did have a recommendation for amending that ordinance. We're working with the Bureau of Sanitation, however, on an updated version of that report, which would involve resources from both the Bureau of Street Services and the Bureau of Sanitation. And it is our desire that to ask the committee for 60 days to complete that report. We are working on it now. We will be meeting with the Office of the City Attorney for their review prior to coming back, but we believe that within that time we can have a completed report for you that will encompass all of the aspects of what was in the 2007 report. In addition, it will have the information requested in the new motion.
CD6, would you be interested in holding the motion here until we get that report, or you want the motion to move forward, and we're still going to hear this report at some point?
We would like for the motion to move forward and have the report come back 60 days.
All right, sounds good. Well, unless there's any objection.
No, I haven't used the word flummoxed in a while, but I'm kind of I thought we had this resolved years ago, and we didn't. Didn't we require them to have graffiti free and post the permit on the bin and stuff like that?
Those issues are currently required. The problem that we're encountering, that we're wishing to amend the ordinance, are more related to fees that would allow us the revenue to have more enforcement related to
Fine,
it,
okay.
also for the impounding issues.
But for the issues that CD6 has brought forward, there is a mechanism. They should be able to know who's the owner of the bin, and if there's a permit for it. Is that right? That's what the current ordinance says?
The current ordinance does not require them to post the permit on the bin. They do have to have a permit, but one of the things that we're seeking in the amendment of the ordinance is that the ordinance requires posting and a visible permit.
Yeah, I
for
thought
the
we
public.
required that years ago.
That was part of the proposal that we never.
Okay, so it never got done,
Uh-huh.
that's what you're saying. All right.
So we'll adopt this motion, and we will, at some point, within 6 days, hear the report, or you can bring the report forward to
We want a report, or we want an ordinance?
an ordinance.
Both, to be quite honest. Well, honestly, I doubt that the ordinance will be prepared between now and Christmas, but
Well, we need an instruction from city council to prepare an ordinance, and this is the first public hearing on this item since the motion was introduced
Got it.
in council.
So we'll move the motion forward, we'll adopt it in council presumably, and C6 knows full well if they already are working on something, that a report that should be ready that the city attorney can use for the ordinance. So, and then we'll come back and adopt it, the ordinance. Good. We'll adopt the motion.
Okay.
thank you.
Any other items?
That is it, Mr. Chair.
Speakers say, Mr. Smith wants to continue this meeting in about half hour more, or
It's stretch.
stretch? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.